The first contact was, for me, very impressive because I found persons, I think, with the same mentality as I have. They love
podcasting
as I love. They want to win like I want to win. We have
Sean Windsor
and I'm sorry, I'm a bit arrogant. We have a
Mark Fellhauer.
Please don't call me arrogant because what I'm saying is true. I'm
ML Elric.
So I'm not one of the bottle. I think I'm a special one.
You asked interrogative questions around my face. Gone.
What are you doing? What are you doing? Come on.
That is not paid for by them. That is paid for by the people of Detroit.
You might be qualified, ML.
I'm not qualified for this job.
Let me tell you something. You want to go right now? Okay? You want to go right now, Albert?
That man with the spectacular Portuguese accent, the Jose Mourinho of podcasting, was Mr. Mark Fellhauer, who is helping us bring you ML Soul of Detroit live again this week. So, hey, kids, thanks for joining us. Sean Windsor will not be here because, I don't know if we're supposed to say this or not, but he's been called a perforated colon his whole life, and now he has one. So that's most unfortunate, but we understand he's recovering. He was in a room right next to Donald Trump at Walter Reed Medical Hospital, and I'm sure those guys had some interesting things to talk about, given how much they have in common.
Peas in a pod.
Peas in a pod, exactly. And then Matt Jennings will be joining us from a undisclosed location, which is good because the FBI is here too. So we want to make sure that they don't know where to find Matt. I'll just tell you this: he's wearing a hoodie and sunglasses. So you guys have had a case like this before. And Joe Zuver is somehow stitching all this together electronically. So we appreciate everybody being here, especially Jeff Rowlands, who's a supervisory special agent with the FBI Violent Crime Squad, who's going to talk to us about why Detroit has been so deadly this summer. We are Murder City and have been off and on for a long time, but this summer in particular has been very bloody. Jeff is going to tell us, give us his take on that, as well as provide some eyewitness account of what's been going on the mean streets. So we are going to be hearing from Jeff in just a minute. But first, I want to talk to you about somebody who's making all this possible. That's our friends at Sir Speedy Printing. If you own or work at a company that needs marketing materials, then listen up. Sir Speedy has offices in Harper Woods, Troy, and Novi. They're known as Sir Speedy Print, Signs, and Marketing because they can do almost anything to help your business. You know, if you go to a shop and you see those really cool floor graphics that say, hey, go one way.
6 feet apart.
I'm talking to you. 6 feet apart. Hey, big fella, quit breathing down the back of my neck. Sir Speedy makes those. You wonder where to get them? You get them from Sir Speedy. They can also help you update some of your signage because maybe you have new hours. Maybe you're offering new services. Maybe it's all pickup only. Maybe it's a limited number of people who can enter your shop or your business. Or maybe you're just trying to tell people who you work with in a very easy way how to get things done. Temporary hours, safety precautions, you name it. Sir Speedy can help you out. Whatever you need when it comes to marketing materials, Sir Speedy has you covered with brochures, signage. They can do direct mail campaigns. They can do promotional products, coffee cups. I think they do masks, whatever you want.
What can't they do?
Well, they can't get us to call. We need people to call these guys. I mean, they're doing a great job. They offer some wonderful products, and we need you to give them a call. So if you've got an idea, talk to them about it. In fact, if you give them a call, just ask for a quote and leave your name and address. We're going to send you a signed copy of the Kwame Sutra. That's just this October. We want to get those phones ringing for Sir Speedy. So if you have a company that's just starting up and needs to get your marketing going, or you're a company that needs to take your marketing materials to the next level, you need to call my friends at Sir Speedy. That number is 586-777-7500, 586-777-7500, or visit their website, sirspeedydetroit.com. Tell them ML sent you, and I'll get your book, which is pretty cool for just picking up the damn phone. I mean, what do you want for nothing? Rubber biscuit? Where's Dan Aykroyd when I need him? It's a Blues Brothers, I guess. Okay, it's just not as hip a crowd as I thought. Anyways.
Well, it's only a 40-year-old reference, but it's okay.
So I'm just over 40.
I mean, I love the movie, and I haven't seen it in over a decade, so.
I think that's from the album. That's from the first
okay.
Blues
Well,
Brothers.
go even deeper next time.
That's a real deep cut. But
right.
So before Jeff runs our names and finds out that one of us, and I'm not saying who, is wanted, we're going to introduce Jeff Rowlands and talk a little bit about this summer. I wanted to set this up by just reading emails I've received over the last couple of days from DPD. I get these every day. These are incident reports, and this is becoming all too familiar. October 1st, at approximately 11:50, 5 victims were shot at a rental hall. October 2nd, at approximately 7:34 p.m., 27-year-old male victim was sitting inside of a red Dodge Avenger at a local gas station when he was allegedly approached by a suspect who fired shots, striking him in the body. October 3rd, at approximately 10:45 p.m., 34-year-old male victim allegedly heard shots and felt pain. So I guess his hearing's not that good. I heard shot. I've been hit. So that, I don't know. Maybe this is a Homelander. October 4th, at approximately 12:30 a.m., 35-year-old male victim in the area when shots were fired by an unknown suspect, striking the victim. October 4th, approximately 1:40 a.m., 25-year-old female victim was shot.
Jeez.
October 4th, approximately 6:02 a.m., just before Brecky, the man, John Doe, along with another male and 2 females, were inside a white Chevy Malibu. They were being followed by 2 unknown suspects in a black SUV. Suspects fired shots, striking the victim, fatally wounding him. And finally, October 4th, approximately 4:45 p.m., just before dinner, 24-year-old male was walking with a friend when someone in an unknown vehicle pulled up and fired shots, striking the victim in the body. Same day, 6 p.m., 20-year-old male, 30-year-old male were having a verbal altercation when the suspect produced a weapon and fired a shot, striking the victim in the body. That was yet another fatal shooting. I think a lot of people find this shocking, but Jeff, this is your world. I mean, tell us what it's like to deal with this.
Well, obviously, like you mentioned before, these things are happening during the day, and that's more concerning to us. Typically we don't see this, and I think that's probably because the pandemic might have had something to do with this. And I think typically this violence is driven by drug disputes and gang disputes, but we're seeing more and more anger management issues and just these minor disputes between individuals, like you mentioned, with the party, the banquet hall, and that turning into violence, which is unacceptable.
So this isn't because of a turf battle, because of influx of drugs, or is it? Because it sounds like some of it's just people being cranky.
Yeah, we do see that. We do see both the turf battles, for the gangs, the drug violence, but we are seeing that flip side of it, which again, like you said, just people being cranky, and these non-fatal shootings are up across the board, across the nation, and obviously that's very concerning for us here in Detroit as well.
So they're up. When was the last time we saw numbers like this? Have we ever seen numbers this high, or is it in a decade, 2 decades?
No, and actually, violent crime across the board keeps going down. So we've done a great job. Every year it's going down. We've seen a slight uptick this year, but still the violent crime across the board has been decreasing.
Now, when you say violent crime, do you mean just guys throwing down on the street, throwing punches, people breaking into houses, carjackings? Or, I mean, is it just people with guns who are doing more?
Well, it's a little bit of everything. So we include the sexual assaults,
sure.
bank robberies, carjackings, obviously threats against individuals, kidnappings, all of that across the board. Physical assaults are down. Those shootings right now, though, unfortunately, are on the rise.
So is it just people with guns who can't control their temper, or are we seeing more guns coming into Detroit? It's hard to imagine that there'd be more guns in Detroit than we've seen over the years. But I mean, is this strictly when you go back and chart this, and the FBI is famous for keeping statistics, will we see a spike for 2020 that just stands out over a 10, 20, 30-year span?
Well, I hope so, obviously, because we want to continue to reduce the violent crime.
Sure.
But, I can't tell you whether or not right now at this point, if there's more guns coming into the area. Again, just looking at it right now with the data that we do have and talking to those individuals that are committing these crimes, it seems to be these just minor disputes that people can't handle right now.
Now, locally, the mayor and the police chief will, pose it by saying, "Well, this crime's down, that crime's down." Does the spin kind of annoy you because you want to just stick to the violent? Like, how do you take that political spin from where you're at as an FBI agent?
No, you know what? I don't see it as a political spin. I agree with them. They are correct because violent crime is down right now, and it's the non-fatal shootings, the fatal shootings that we're concerned about, like you had mentioned. They're happening during the day. They're happening at different times that are not typical to the gang and drug violence that we see overnight. And so I think the mayor and the chief of police are doing a fantastic job here in the city of Detroit. We're partnering with 8 other agencies, local agencies here in the task force to combat this. And we've changed kind of our approach because of this increase in shootings.
And with these other partners, I think there's a presumption that this is a Detroit phenomenon. Is this mainly geographically limited to Detroit? Are you finding other parts of the metro area, southeastern Michigan, where it's not just people come to Detroit and lose their mind, they're going nuts in I don't know where?
No, we're seeing it in the major cities across the United States. I mean, it's not just Detroit. Basically, any major city. We do have a slight increase over in Grand Rapids and Kalamazoo as well. But those major cities, major metropolitan areas have seen a significant increase in this gun violence.
I guess I'm just thinking locally. I mean, Ferndale shares a border with Detroit. There are lots of Lincoln Park shares a border with Detroit. Are you seeing these things happen in neighboring communities, or does it really seem to be centered in, our city within the legal defined borders of the city of Detroit?
Mainly within the legally defined borders of the city of Detroit. There's a slight uptick, but not like what we're seeing here.
You said that it's probably over. Well, some of it's over drugs, but you mentioned the other smaller things. Has the drug trade grown during the pandemic since people are home? Have you seen any indication of that?
No, I think it didn't stop.
Yeah,
it didn't, and that's a concern. And then everybody probably being at home. Again, I go back to that anger management stuff.
So what is your day like when you come in? I mean, how do you start off? I mean, I think we all think everybody comes in, there's roll call and everybody hits the streets. But I mean, are you going straight to a hot scene? Are you looking at some data? Are you meeting with other agencies and trying to figure out, I mean, what are you seeing?
Actually, a little bit of all of the above. So we run the Violent Crime Task Force. We have 8 local agencies that we partner with, to include the Detroit Police Department, Wayne State University Police, Detroit Public School Police, and Wayne County Sheriff's Office. And those are just here, obviously, within the city. We typically do long-term enterprise investigations, like the smash and grab robberies that you heard about last year with the pharmacies. Those are our typical ones, or the serial robbers or carjackings. But because of this increase, we've kind of focused on high-impact offenders, meeting with the local precincts to determine who's driving the violence within that precinct, and going out on them to try and get them with a federal charge on a felon in possession of a firearm.
And what are you seeing on the streets? I mean, is it just, have people become blasé about this? Are there people standing around waiting to provide testimony? Are family members crying? I mean, it's got to be pretty intense when you're out there and somebody's just recently, shed that mortal coil.
Yeah, it is. It can be intense. That's a good word for it. It can be very intense. The families that are affected, obviously, that's very traumatic.
How tough is it to solve some of these shootings? I mean, you got to hit the ground, I would presume. What is the solve rate of it?
I couldn't give you a solution rate right now. I'd have to look into it, but working with the Homicide Task Force and Detroit Police Department, we've done a good job of marketing rewards and pushing out anonymous tip lines so that we can obviously generate leads when they've kind of stalled. Working on a couple cases involving young children. And that's what we mainly want to focus on with the Violent Crime Task Force. Those vulnerable citizens that are being caught in the crossfire, essentially, as well as, again, trying to reduce the violent crime throughout the city.
I remember 20 years ago when a lot of kids were getting killed in Detroit, and I think it still happens a lot, but it was a particularly common. A lot of these kids were children, nieces, nephews, neighbors of just people who were trying to even the score with someone, or maybe somebody got the wrong address and just ended up killing kids. Are you seeing that? And I remember when Benny Napoleon was police chief, he fairly famously said that most of the people who are being killed know the person who's killing them because these are scores being settled. Is that the case still, or is there a lot of innocent people caught up in crossfire?
I'd still say that's the case. There are a lot of individuals that are familiar with the people that are committing the crimes against them. And that's unfortunate because those family members that weren't involved in those crimes are now actually caught in the crossfire. And then it just spirals out of control with the retaliation.
Well, some would say it's social Darwinism. Shithead A shoots shithead B, and there's one less shithead. But if they get niece or nephew or cousin or neighbor or playmate, then that brings it to a whole new thing. Do you find that most of these bullets are hitting their targets, or is it possible to sort of characterize for us how many people are getting caught up who have nothing to do with this, who have no beef with anybody else, no culpability?
Yeah, I probably couldn't. I can't comment on that. I don't know we don't quite follow those type of statistics. We're all about the victims and trying to solve crimes for those victims. The
other unique crime that's popped up during COVID are these PPP loans that people misuse. Are you involved in any of that, or does that fall under the FBI?
Yes, the FBI does investigate some of that stuff.
So are white collar crime? I just wonder. No one ever talks about the pandemic and how it affects white collar crimes. Aside from PPP loans, are there other white collar crimes? Has it gone up? Has it gone down?
My specialty is the violent crime.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you about white collar crimes right now, but I would assume that there's always someone that's going to take advantage of the system whenever anything happens. And I'm sure that PPE stuff is, being targeted as well.
Well, Mandy on Facebook Live had some questions, and I guess overall is what role does the FBI or will they have with the election coming up? And she was wondering, are you seeing any organization from fringe groups with violence leading up to the election? Do you see anything like that?
No, and the FBI's, my job is to protect the Constitution and to protect everybody's rights, their constitutional rights. So the FBI is going to protect all those people so that everybody can get out and vote. That is our main role, is to protect you and your constitutional rights.
Now, we've heard a lot about people coming from the outside to agitate. We've heard a lot about MS-13 and things like this. Those were making a lot of headlines early on. The new political beef seems to be Operation Legend. And what's your involvement with some of these additional resources brought in under Operation Legend? And what's your sense of whether that is bearing some fruit or whether that's going to have to be a long-term commitment to try and get these guns and this gun violence knocked down a bit? Yeah,
again, like I said, we're part of the Violent Crime Task Force. This task force has been around for over 25 years now. And we partner with both our local agencies and our federal partners, DEA, ATF, HSI, and all of those are involved in Op Legend. We have had additional resources on a temporary basis pushed our way, but we will continue to shift towards like I said, we do the enterprise investigations, so a longer term investigation typically is what the FBI focuses on. But with Op Legend, we're focusing on getting those guns off the street, getting the guns out of the felons' hands. So we're focusing on felon in possession cases right now to reduce this senseless gun violence.
And when you say focusing on getting the guns from them, I mean, it's not like somebody's driving around with a bullhorn and says, hey, every idiot with a gun, could you come out on your front porch? How do you figure out who's got these guns and how to get them from them without getting shot yourself?
That's a good question. That's where, we try and develop individuals that are involved in the violence to help us out with maybe purchasing drugs or weapons from these individuals. undercover agents, techniques like that where we can get into these individuals and show that they've been furthering the violence in their area and that they're a felon that is not allowed to carry a firearm and that now has federal charges.
So is that our confidential human informants or sources, basically snitches and bitches and anybody who's got something that they want to pass along?
People that want to change their neighborhood.
Okay. Well, I'm all for that. Yeah. To me, if you're telling me about a bad guy, you're not a snitch. You're part of the solution. So I'm all for that. How do we have just about a minute left before you have to go and get to the latest hotspot. Tell me how you and the other law enforcement who have to deal with this, deal with it yourselves, because, there can be a lot of trauma that you witness, a lot of tragedy that you see secondhand, but that can't be something that you just clock out and forget about seeing someone who's either been killed or is reacting to the loss of someone they love, whether they're a good or bad guy, but who's no longer with us. I try and encourage everybody to talk about it. And the FBI, and I know some of the other federal agencies, they have a great program for employee health, mental health, and just personal health. Try and work out, helps you mentally, helps you physically get through these. But the biggest thing is just talking about it. Okay. And what's on the agenda today? I don't know if you're working today or not, but where do you think the day is going to end?
Well, the day already started a few hours ago. Actually, quite a few hours ago. We had some arrests this morning for some gang members. Had some great takedowns this morning, and then we're going to work up some other ones that we're going to try and focus on later this week.
Wow. Well, Jeff Rowlands, Supervisory Special FBI Agent from the Violent Crime Squad, we wish you and your men and women all the best. Please be safe out there, and we hope you succeed because I hear the gunshots almost every night. So far, none of them have hit me. My car got shot, but it's doing much better now with counseling and spray paint. But we'd like the gunshots to stop. So thanks for everything you guys are doing. And if there's a number or some information we can share with people to let them know how to pass on some information, it'll be helpful to you. We'll put that on our website. Yeah, it's 1-800-CALL-FBI. And thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it. No, it's a pleasure. Stay safe, Jeff. We look forward to some good news, and we think it's good news that we're making a dent in this. And let's hope 2021 is the boringest summer ever.
I agree with that.
Thank you for your hard work.
Thank you. Thank you very much, guys.
Oof. That's got to be worth an Altus.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, always. All guests appearing on ML Solo Detroit receive a 12-pack of Altus Lager.
Oh, he loves beer.
So I don't know if FBI agents can accept beer or any sort of gratuity, but it's
interesting. You always find people who can't accept it, and I always wonder where that stuff ends up.
Let's just say that it goes into the right hands. We want to make sure that
yours.
We don't want to waste anything, but yeah. So anyways, Jeff Rowlands, we will have a link to FBI on our website. I always, the confidential human sources, informants, snitches, whatever you want to call them. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of things that motivate people, and sometimes it's just to get their own butt off the hook. But I really do think it's important for people who know something to say something. There are lots of anonymous ways for people to share information, either calling Crime Stoppers, calling the FBI, but a
tough gig too.
Well, the thing about
it's insane. There
are so many guns out there, and there are so many bad shots out there. It's not even funny. I mean, if I don't subscribe to the social Darwinism theory, but if every bad dude shot the other bad dude they were aiming at, I guess there would be perhaps
more bad dudes,
some net gain. I guess the last bad dude would clean up Dodge. But the problem is that's not how it works. It's people with bad tempers are bad shots, and we have bad results. So if you know something, give these guys a call. And 1-800-CALL-FBI, was that the number? That
sounds right. Yeah,
seems pretty easy to remember. So
yeah.
So please let them know. And it's important to remind people too that police are here to help. I know we don't like seeing them in our rearview mirror when we're going a little too fast, or maybe when we misjudge that light. But they are partners with one of our sponsors, and that's Hope Not Handcuffs. Since 2017, the Hope Not Handcuffs program has helped 4,700 people get the help and resources they may not have gotten otherwise. Anyone struggling with a substance use disorder or addiction, whether it be heroin, painkillers, cocaine, even alcohol, can go into one of 100 participating police locations and ask for help. And you don't have to worry about getting arrested. They're there to help you. An officer will treat you with compassion and call a volunteer angel. It will come to the police department and assist with paperwork and making phone calls to get you placed into treatment that day. Maybe it's not you. Maybe it's a friend. Maybe it's a loved one. Maybe it's somebody you work with. Let them know about this, that they don't have to hit rock bottom. The next step doesn't have to be the hardest. There's hope. Go to hopenothandcuffs.com to learn more and make the step towards recovery. And joining us to talk a little bit about the program is another special guest here on the show, David Clayton, who has been in treatment 5 different times, had been using for 11 years before he got sober, from the age of 17 to 28, starting with prescription pills like a lot of people, and then it leads to marijuana, then drinking, and then heroin, which, people think of heroin as a clean drug. It hasn't killed Keith Richards yet, but Keith Richards isn't getting the shit that's on the streets around here. It's pretty nasty stuff. So, David, we're glad that you're okay, and we're glad that you've turned your experience into a way to help other people. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. That was quite the segue from law enforcement into Hope Not Handcuffs. I like that.
Well, they're working together.
And that's kind of what we're seeing, and that's the truth behind it. Is that right now, law enforcement, in today's society, is being painted as this negative picture, but they've been doing a lot of great work with us since we launched over 3 or coming up on 3 years. So it's 4 years actually in February 1st of 2017 is when we launched. So we're grateful for all the participating agencies that we have, and then we're grateful for the opportunities like this.
And David is brought to us by Hope Not Handcuffs as part of our sponsorship plan. But I think it's important for people to sort of remember that the old idea of police was of the constable, the guy that everybody knew, the guy walking the beat. I know it wasn't really women, but now it is women walking the beat, where you might be able to turn to them and maybe, maybe they might just, give you a kick in the ass and say, hey, you're heading the wrong direction. You're from good people. You have other options. Because there are so few police left, because nobody wants to pay any damn taxes for whatever reason, we don't see those personal relationships. But Hope Not Handcuffs is trying to at least find a way to remind you that the job of the police is to be a peace officer, someone who is supposed to keep the peace, try and keep the neighborhood intact. And while you might not see them walking by the corner store, this program is there to try and remind you that that is part of what they do, and that you can go seek help from them, that the police are not just there to punish you. Mm-hmm. They are there to help you. Now, if you go in there and it turns out you've been torching houses, that warrant, they're probably going to have to make an exception and lock your ass up. But short of being Genghis Khan, I think, Dave, you think the police can be part of the solution?
Sure. For a very long time, the whole mindset was, from law enforcement up to the judicial system, was arrest, incarcerate, get them off the street, and that'll solve the problem. But as we now know, that it's this addiction and alcoholism is this chronic, insidious brain disease, and it needs to be treated like that. So just arresting and incarcerating was proving to not to work at all. That was the case with me for a lot of years. For most of my 20s, I spent incarcerated, in and out of jail. And I'll say to myself, well, hey, I'm not going to do that again because it put me in jail. But then this slippery slope and the cycle always ends up repeating itself. So it's kind of one of those things to where we need to treat addiction for what it is. And Mark, I want to give you, props for the first time that you promoted Hope Not Handcuffs on the Drew and Mike show. You stated at the end, you said, well, maybe now we can finally start treating addiction as a disease that it actually really is.
Yeah, I think
and that's what it is, right? And people don't want to see it that way. People want to see it as this horrible thing. And we're losing, in 2019, over 72,000 people in a year have died as a direct result of a drug overdose. And 2020 statistics aren't even out yet. And we know that as soon as those statistics come out, those numbers are going to far surpass that. And right now, especially now with COVID, we've seen so many ER related visits are up for alcohol and overdoses dramatically. I think in the 40 percentile range. It's just horrible. And then now that we need it more than ever, we need resources. Treatment centers are taking away beds for social distancing. Ooh. So then we don't have anywhere to put anybody. But and I just kind of say this just kind of as the thing, it'd be great if we could have turned the TCF center into a treatment facility and had beds available for people that needed it when, the beds at the local treatment centers from around the area are closed, or they're kicking people out when COVID hits because they needed the beds available. And it's just, it's really disheartening when we're trying to do so much work as an agency of us, or all around the entire state, and we just don't have the resources available.
So you said you were arrested in your 20s. Did you have to detox while in a jail or a prison?
Yeah, multiple times. And, there it is, right? That's that insidious relapsing brain disease, because you would think to yourself, hell, man, I just went through just torturous hell for 7 to 14 days, and I'm just not doing that again. And then you get out of jail and you're like, well, you know what? I think I'm going to be able to control it now because my tolerance is really low, and I'm just going to kind of use a little bit and just a little bit. And then all of a sudden you're back in the same squirrel cage again. And I've done it. I've had a lived experience through it. And then I see it happen to thousands of people on a daily basis.
Well, unfortunately, that's how a lot of people overdose, because then they get out and they go, oh, I can just start doing the same amount I did before I went on. And next thing you know, it's too much. So how does Hope Not Handcuffs treat that? Is it just by having people around to help them detox? What is the first step?
Okay. So really the nuts and bolts of Hope Not Handcuffs is someone who is seeking treatment for drug or alcohol addiction can walk into any one of our participating police departments. They walk in, there's an officer behind the desk, and they're hopefully greeted with compassion as we train. And they say, I'm here for Hope Not Handcuffs. Have a seat. They then call us, and then we dispatch what's called an angel out to that police department. And they will make the call to the local access center, which is the funding source of each county, and they will determine the best treatment option for them. So once they're then find a bed available, they are transported via Uber Health, Lyft, or taxi to that treatment center. And then we just don't stop there, right? So once they're in treatment, we're going to follow up with them. And then after treatment, we're going to follow up 30, 60, 90, 120, all the way up to a year. We're going to offer services. We have peer recovery coaches that are people that are in long-term recovery that can help knock down barriers for that person to find their pathway of recovery. And then we know that addiction is far more than just the individual suffering. It's a family disease too. And the family is sometimes just as sick as the one suffering. So we offer family recovery coaches as well. So all the types of services that we offer are all free. We have a lot of grants. We do a lot of fundraising, and we're able to provide those services to the individual and to the family as well. And then we also do a lot of Narcan training. So there's a whole, we just don't treat one part of the disease of addiction, right? There's a very large scope of it, and we're doing our best to address every aspect of it.
And if someone wants to become an angel, HopeNotHandcuffs.com has a link up there. How long have you been in recovery?
So I just celebrated 7 years on September 23rd.
Is it as hard today as it, say, the first year?
I don't want to go as far as saying it's hard, right? As long as I keep doing what I'm doing and maintaining a pathway of recovery for myself, helping others, that's kind of what helps me. But you know what? I mean, that's the thing, is that just because one gets clean and sober, and they enter this life of recovery, it doesn't mean that every day is rainbows and butterflies. We struggle. We have good days. I have good days. I have bad days. If I want to solve a problem with the problem, then I'm going to, I'll get what I had. But, no one ever told me that recovery and sobriety was going to be easy, but they sure said it was going to be worth it. You know what, man? And they were right.
For recovery, is it really, I would imagine it'd be really hard, because a lot of friends that you would have associated would have been part of the problem. I mean, were you able to maintain friendships with other addicts? I mean, I I don't know how that works.
And that's a big thing too. So I didn't like to share anything.
Yeah.
So I was always on my own.
How selfish.
And I just kind of just maintain a level of isolation. And a lot of times when you're around people that are using it, some of them use together, some of them use separately. And I was one of the ones that used, by myself, of just, homelessness. And I had isolated from my family, isolated from my friends. And then you'd be surprised once you enter recovery and you're around other people that are in recovery, the ones that want to see you succeed, they're the ones that become your friends. And then the ones that you might have been using with, they don't like it. And they're just like, well, we don't have much in common anymore. So, there's no reason for me to be a friend. But there's very, very, very few people that I've associated with back in my drinking days, at least. Mm-hmm. But when I was, when I was using harder drugs, it was something that no one wanted to be around. And I wouldn't want to be around myself either back when I was in that time.
Now, we've seen the stories where there's a parent and they have a kid who's addicted, and next thing you know, they end up helping that addiction because the detox is so awful. And sometimes, they don't want you stealing their stuff and selling it. I mean, it all seems to work together. How would you, if you knew someone who had an addiction and you wanted to help them get off, how do you go about that? Because you can only help someone who wants to help themselves so much.
And you said it. That's kind of it. I mean, the person that's struggling has to want it. You can't love someone out of an addiction. You can't buy someone out of an addiction. And that's kind of the way it is. And everybody has higher bottoms than others, and everyone always asks me, well, what was it this last time that was different from the times before? And you know what? I don't really know what it was. It was just a time to where I had gotten to that point, and then I was arrested again. And but I can tell you this much. I can tell you that the last time that I was arrested on September 23rd of 2013, that, they were going to send me to prison for a very long time. I think my guidelines were 6.5 to 15 years in prison. And that was it. Like, it was cut and dry. You're going. And I had found out when I was incarcerated about specialty courts. And those are your drug courts, your mental health courts, sobriety courts, veterans court. And I asked to get accepted into drug court. And at that time too, the prosecutor was very against it, said absolutely not. He called me helpless and he called me hopeless. They called me a career criminal. They said incarceration is the best option for him. But there was something in the judge that said, like, all right, I'll give you the chance.
Wow.
And they accepted me into drug court. And that's kind of what structured my life and kind of made my life come full circle back into, getting arrested, brought me back to jail, brought me back in front of the judge. And then it was kind of like a detour, right? All right, we're not going to keep doing the same thing. We're going to do something different this time. And we're going to get you in a drug court. And it's kind of up to you what you want to do. And that sent me back to treatment for that fifth and final time, put me back into sober living for the first time in sober living, and then finding my pathway of recovery after that.
What were your arrests for?
A lot. Theft, retail frauds, larcenies, check forgery, credit card fraud, embezzlement, home invasion, receiving, concealing stolen property.
It's a lot of work for an addiction.
Yeah, it really is, and a lot of it was petty theft, and you know what? And that's the thing about it is people always go with, is addiction a disease or a choice? If I had a choice, I wouldn't have had to do all that, and it's this kind of, and I always tell people, this is kind of what it is, man. This is what the face of addiction is. There's so many people out there that are coming from good homes. Some of them that come from not so great homes, that come down a long line of drug addiction and alcoholism, but I came to the point in my life to where I was like, this is it. Like, I don't even want to live anymore. I was extremely suicidal, and, I just couldn't live another day, so I think that final arrest was a blessing, and it's just a very tiresome lifestyle, but I tell you what, sitting here today in my own home and being employable and doing the work that I can do is a direct result of finding that pathway of recovery, and we do so much work so Families Against Narcotics is our organization. And then we started Hope Not Handcuffs. And FAN started back in 2007. So long before I ever got sober. And we were stood behind education and awareness. We have to go out and talk, because you got to see, at that time, no one was talking about addiction. Like it was very taboo. And so we started talking about it. Well, then people are still dying. And then all of a sudden, boom, this opiate epidemic hit. And it was killing people long before this mainstream media picked up on the opiate epidemic. So, we started Hope Not Handcuffs to help people, and as I said, through fundraisers, like tonight is huge. We have our big Fall Fest that we had to go virtual for essentially everything. And tonight we have our Fall Fest Live, which is a big fundraiser. So, I'm awesome to be a part of that, to raise this money to keep helping. And all of the money that we raise, we end up dumping right back into the community and helping people that are still struggling. So check out Fall Fest Live, man. It's good stuff.
David, we're glad that you're in a better place, that you're leading people to that place. About a year ago, I lost a cousin to overdose. I think if people out there, we thought there might have been a problem. We didn't know the extent of the problem. I think people feel shame. They feel they're going to be judged. And I'll just tell you, if you're out there and you're on that road, whatever you're worried about your family saying to you, they will feel so much worse if they find out you had a problem when it's too late. So go get some help,
man. And I'll tell you this, the numbers that we've placed, I just checked the numbers, and today we have placed, since February 1st of 2017, we have placed 4,709 people into treatment.
Wow.
So the program's there. It works for you. And you said it. And reach out. And you'd be glad you did. I can promise you that you will be so glad that you reached out to live a different life. And it'd be one of the best. It's the best thing that's ever happened to me. And to have, all my, my friends and my family back in my life, a relationship with my direct family that my mother and my father, and just the life I live today is just something that I never dreamt possible.
So get on the right path. Don't worry about your family being mad at you. They'll be a lot madder at you if you don't ask for help. HopeNotHandcuffs.com. We have a link to their website on our website, mlsoulofdetroit.com. You can find out more about them. Remember, there's help. There's hope. A lot of people can't do it by themselves. These are folks who can help you. So David, thank you for everything. And we hope the virtual fundraiser is a huge success and just the first of many.
Thank you guys so much. I appreciate the opportunity.
Keep up the good work, man.
Thanks, Mark.
I won't change my mind on anything, regardless of the facts that are set out before me. I'm dug in, and I'll never change.
Brain nut. Brain cell. Brain nut. Brain cell. Brain nut infinity. Brain cell infinity +1. No.
Our great debate is brought to you by my favorite butcher shop, and that is the place to go for prime meats, the Butchery on Orchard Lake Road, just west of Middle Belt. Go in and spend $50 and let them know that ML sent you, and they will give you an autographed copy of the Kwame Sutra. I autographed these strictly for the butchery. Some of them have messages that would only make sense if you go to the butchery. So
that's only 2 so far today.
That's the second Kwame bell today, and it's really just because in October we're trying to support our sponsors by providing you some incentives. We're not always going to give you stuff to go do things that make sense, but this month we want to support our sponsors because it has been a tough year for businesses, and the Kwame Sutra not only may get you to go and spend some money at a place that deserves your business, it's quite possible the words in that sacred text could save your soul. So I don't want to make too many promises, but check it out. The butchery has something that you won't get anywhere else either. That is sausage made in-house from scratch by Chef Dave and Matt Jennings. Go to thebutchery.com to see all their amazing selections and follow them on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook to see what Chef Dave is carving up daily. I was in there last week, and I had some brisket that blew my mind and some fried chicken that I'm still thinking about. So I may sneak back there after the show today. 248-682-COWS is their number. That's 248-682-COWS. This is a family business, so you'll probably meet somebody from the family, and you can feel good about doing business with the butchery. They have small private cooking classes with Chef Dave and Chef Julie. So check them out. It's worth the drive. I've made it. I'm going to make it again. I promise you'll be happy you went there. Just make sure when you get there that you tell them ML sent you.
I believe they deliver too, so...
Oh, do they?
I think so. You'll just have to go to the website to find out.
Yeah, all kinds of information on that
How about
website.
that tease? I love teasing things when I don't know the answer.
Yeah, it's like, I think they have some meat there. It's like, okay, Mark, I think we're safe with that one.
I know they have meat there because I just got a bunch of it. So
don't stray too. They have this. Now that Sean's not here,
he is. You know, it's funny. He just joined,
What?
but for some reason, it's really fun. I don't even know if he can hear us or not. But his camera's not working. His microphone's not working. He's had a pretty rough weekend.
That's our little Shawnee.
You mean this Shawnee?
He was full of fizz and the sort of guy who gets a bottle of hand lotion for his birthday.
That's him. That's the guy.
Oh, I can hear you.
There he is. There's my sunshine.
You've never looked.
You just can't see me, but that's okay.
Oh, because okay, I see. I figured. Are you laid up still at home?
I'm up and about a little bit, but I don't want Mike to get too excited, so I just shut the video off. Sorry about that, Mark.
That's okay. When I heard Sean may be wearing a gown, I said, that sounds about right.
You said turn around so I can see your chaps.
Wow.
So are you okay? I mean, I'll ask because I care.
Jack
I don't know
Nicholson style, right?
I don't know if ML cares, but I'll ask. Are you okay?
What does ML care about?
I'm crying. I'm a crying on the inside type of guy.
Yeah. No, I'm doing okay. Thanks for asking. Sorry I've missed the show. I'm sure it's been great listening to Mike talk uninterrupted all the time.
No, unfortunately, he hasn't been able to do that yet. So he'll probably do it now that you're here.
Okay.
Can you walk us through what happened to you, or do you not care to?
I had a little, as Mike would say, colon interference. Maybe is that the right way to put it?
Yeah,
a little perforation in the colon.
Was this Harry Colon from the Detroit Lions? Did this happen in Allen Park?
In Allen Park, yeah. Maybe it happened on the way out of Allen Park.
Do you remember Harry Colon, the defensive back for the Lions?
Yeah, he's really good. Back when the Lions were good.
He used to be the hairiest Colon in Detroit, but now I think we've uncovered a second one.
This show completely.
No, actually, Mark, I know you care, so I'll tell you. Just Mike, maybe Mike can put some earmuffs on or something. But to keep it brief. I was very, very lucky, to be honest with you. I got pretty sick last week, high fever. My wife, who works up at the university, they have a policy that anybody in the house gets a fever, you have to go get a COVID test. So she said, you got to go get a COVID test. So I did, and then went back to bed and slept all after. This was one day last week. Slept all afternoon, all night, and they told me the results could be 1 to 3 days, and I was just prepared to stay in bed until it kind of either got better or I got the results. Well, I got the results the next day, and that allowed me then to go into a regular sort of urgent care where my primary care is. And they said, hey, this isn't something else is going on. Get to the ER right now. They worried about my colon. And next thing I know, a surgeon's coming in the ER room saying, I'm going to place my hands on your belly, and we're going to decide if we're going to cut you open right now. And yeah, it was kind of that quick and that intense. They decided that there was a window to hang some antibiotics, some serious antibiotics in me, and see if I could help with the micro perforation. And so I did that for 3 days, and it did. And I was very, very fortunate, to be honest with you.
So
because as you know, they can leak and get into septic shock. We know people that have been through that sort of thing, and it's intense. But I was very lucky, and I'm very grateful to be talking to both of you, even Mike.
Yeah, I guess you must have been pretty desperate if this feels good. How did they find something in your blood where they said these numbers are off? Or, I mean,
well, yeah, in their initial urgent care visit, once the COVID test came back negative and I was allowed to go in there, it's just the way it was a combination of the fever, where I was having pain in my abdomen. It was a very specific place. And they sent me to the ER. They said, you need a CT scan. And the CT scan showed the perforation. So it was just a really good guess, educated guess by a doc at the urgent care, he was right on the money. So,
and do they have any idea how this happened? Is it, I mean,
well, it's a product, a little bit of age, your colon can get these little out pouches called diverticulosis. I'm sure some of our listeners have had experience with that. They're fine. It's natural, but occasionally they can get infected. That's called diverticulitis. Maybe a seed gets stuck in there. In Mike's case, maybe a piece of popcorn. And
our show is known for people with faulty intestines. That's one of our signatures.
That's what got you in trouble.
The little out pouches. The doc told me, hey, if you did an autopsy on everybody that lived to 100, you'd see those. I mean, it's just the way it is. It's like an enlarged prostate. It happens. You get to a certain age if you have a prostate, I guess. But in any case, so it's part of it's natural, the natural order of things, and part of it's just dumb luck. Occasionally they get infected, and you can sort of survive that. But the problem is that once in a while, the infection will blow a little hole in your colon, and that's where it gets, sort of life threatening.
So, are you up
could be from all the tofu, right?
Oh, there's Matt with a shot. He's taking a shot at you, Sean.
What did you say? Something about tofu?
Yeah.
Too much tofu?
Wait, he just learned how to cook steak over the weekend with his little buddies in the woods. He's going to talk to me about tofu.
Are you up for
too soon?
Are you up for arguing and debating, or?
Sure, as long as you and I are on the same side as usual.
Not always. What?
No, I'm good. Yeah. Let's go for it. So anyway, thanks for asking. I feel grateful, and it's good to be with y'all.
Whew, okay, how do we take? So we go.
Are you still with us, ML? I mean, I know that was Sean talking about himself for a while.
I think if Sean was introducing this segment, he might say, or this topic, he might say, we're going from one colon to another. But our topic this week is very relevant. It does also involve hospitalization, and that's, will Trump's COVID-19 diagnosis help or hurt his reelection chances? Sean, since we speculated earlier in the show that you probably shared a private suite with POTUS at Walter Reed Medical Center. What did he seem like this was going to help him or not? What did you think?
I did grow up on military hospitals because I grew up in the service.
See how he turned it about him?
You asked him to.
I know, but that's what happens to me. I'm doing the Sean role this week. It's kind of fun.
No, I'm just, hey, man, you've trained me well. Make it about yourself. Wear sort of faux hipster things like Doc Martens. A little ascot around the neck, and you're good to go.
I've got my Premier League Doc Martens on.
Oh, those are tight.
Oh, that is awesome.
And stupid.
That is awesome. Yeah.
And my West Ham United jersey, because it was my nephew Abraham's second birthday, who also had a very serious medical condition. 2 years old. Right. The guy he's going to be the next Evel Knievel. So that's
a great movie, by the way, right?
Here's to the Hammer.
Anyway, I don't want to form an opinion until I know what Mark thinks.
Oh, okay. So, Mark, do you think? Boy, that was a long punt. I think you may have had a.
I don't think
violation.
I don't think it's gonna.
I don't think it'll matter. How about that?
I don't think it'll matter. If anything, I think.
Wait a minute! You just asked Mark to come, then you stepped on him. What's going on?
I don't think it'll matter. If anything, I think it will help him. Believe it or not.
How so?
Because I don't think COVID in general can hurt him anymore. I mean, that damage has already been done. I mean, people have already made up their mind with how he's treated COVID, but I think it can help him to, because we're already seeing him go out there and say, hey, you can't let it affect your life. I went through it. It's A-okay. We're doing fine. And that message might resonate with some people to be like, yeah, let's move forward. He's the guy that's going to move us forward in COVID because he's been through it and not Biden.
Mr. Windsor?
Well, that's certainly what that's the tact he's trying to take. I was kind of out of it there for a few days, but the last couple of days, and he's back to tweeting again, or at least somebody's tweeting on his account. He's trying to own it, saying, I know things about it now.
And he should.
I mean, this is the message, right? I know things about it now that obviously Joe Biden doesn't, that really nobody else does. I mean, I'm an expert in a way, and that might play. Plus you get a little bit of empathy.
Yeah,
maybe a little sympathy, rather.
That's true.
So that could help. The thing that I would worry about is he out of the weeds yet? Right? I mean, who knows? The way he was kind of trying to grab air that was just last night, right?
It was, yeah.
Or yesterday.
When he did his little drive by over the weekend.
But what Sean's referring to is last night he was standing out on the balcony there, and
right.
There's some people felt that he was gasping for air. But come on, it's about the image of him, and I think it will work for him. You haven't presented your side yet, ML.
Well, because I have two sides. I think
always.
I think well, there you go. I think that if he had some of his advisors had wanted him to show more empathy, and they thought that by saying, hey, listen, I've dealt with this. I'm like you. I'm one of the Americans who's battling this, that it may have softened him a little bit and may have shown him to be, we keep hearing about empathy. In the end, I don't know how many people are looking for an empathetic president, but I think it could have shown a softer side of Trump that may have helped him with some of the female voters, some of the suburban voters, some of the people who may not be
that doesn't fit with the image, though.
So hardcore. It doesn't. But the thing is, his image, polling seems to suggest his image tops out at less than 50%. So if you can bring some people in, that could be very useful. He missed that opportunity. So I think in that regard, it doesn't help him. But I think one of you guys touched on where it does help him is where he can say, I'm 74, I'm obese. Now, he wouldn't admit to being obese, but he'd say, and I beat it. So it's not that bad.
He'll say he had the worst version of it and he crushed it. And that, that will play.
And I think in that case, he can use this to his advantage to say, you know what? I had it. I beat it. You can beat it. It's not that bad. And of course, the counter to that is you have the best health care in the world. Mm-hmm. And so I think it could go,
as he should.
I think it could go either way, but I do think there is a way that if he'd played it a little differently, it could have been a huge, huge boost for the president with some constituencies that may still be gettable, but so far have eluded him.
Especially, here's a couple of quick points. Especially if he'd, you're right, Mike. Especially if he'd, thank you. If he'd stayed in the hospital a little bit longer and let that play out. The two things that might hurt him a little bit. One is one of you. Let's just go ahead and use Mike's word. Alluded to the little stunt he pulled. I mean, maybe I shouldn't call it a stunt. That's a judgment. But the ride he pulled in front of his supporters outside Walter Reed Hospital. I don't know how well that plays with independents, however few there are. And then the balcony shot, it's from yesterday, him standing on the balcony. That's just, again, a little bit out of the norm. And people that are on the fence, people that love him, I'm sure loved it. People on the fence, I don't know how much they love it. And then the idea, the reports coming out today, even late last night, that a lot of White House staffers didn't like the fact that he came back in the White House so soon. And the symbolism of taking his mask off. And, so if those stories continue to leak and get published or broken on air, I don't think that will help him.
But he's showing, the report today, he has no symptoms and he's moving forward. And maybe that's what's going to get the people. It's all about getting those people out to vote, which his people will vote for him. No doubt. So I think in the end, this will work out for him. Because honestly, the spin, I really admire the spin by this administration. It's incredible how they turn any negative into a positive. And, that's good politics, whether you agree with it or disagree with it.
Well, it's like Flava Flav said, some say I'm negative, but they're not positive. But when it comes to COVID-19, the president is most definitely positive.
Oh, man, the geeks have inherited the earth.
Did I do that?
What a dork.
Does him wanting to play with us again mean that he's turning into a geek, or we're turning into cool guys?
I should be very clear, too, that the reference to Flava Flav does not in any way imply an endorsement of the President of the United States by Flava Flav. I believe at this point he remains...
well, it doesn't mean that it doesn't, though, either.
He remains undecided. So.
He's going Kanye. Who are you fooling?
And with Pennsylvania being a battleground state, it's very important to see how those guys in Philadelphia are going to land on this one. So Flav, we hope to have him on a future episode, if only because...
from Philadelphia?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's...
I hope not.
He's not from Philadelphia.
I think that's where Public Enemy's from.
No.
Where are they from?
New York.
What?
Yeah, 100%.
Really?
Okay, maybe 90. Now you're doubting me. Now now you're planting that seed of doubt in my head.
I thought that...
I think you're thinking of Will Smith.
Just be careful. That seed of doubt can cause diverticulitis. I understand it's very painful. Yeah, so anyway, speaking of flavor... Boy, this is going to be, this worked out so sweet. Altus Beer is one of our much appreciated sponsor. I just reloaded. I'll be taking some to hockey this week. But let me tell you real quick before we get to our Geeks of the Week about the original Detroit lager that's making a comeback here in the greatest city in the world. Maybe the deadliest, but also the greatest. Altus is the do anything, anytime with anyone beer. I love to grab a case. I put it on ice, take it to the rink, and everybody's always glad to see not me, but to see that frothy, frosty Altus brew. Fun fact about Altus.
Yeah. What is it?
It only takes 6 to make anyone a 10.
That's my kind of math.
There are a lot of things that started in Detroit that went away, but Altus is back. It's a lager that packs a punch and is seriously smooth and delicious. Go pick up some cans today for yourself and enjoy. It is on tap at bars, and in fact, I think you can get it at the Cadger Cafe. You can also go to altus.beer and find the location nearest you. I promise this beer is insanely good, and you will be thanking me for the recommendation. So
Thank you.
please. Oh,
For that recommendation.
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. So, Sean, you've had time to ruminate, to cogitate, to postulate, to prostulate while you were considering walking toward the light. And just so we're clear, I'm very glad that you did not do that. I think you probably remember my old partner, Jim Schaefer's wife, having a very scary bout with sepsis, and that is nothing anybody wants to mess with. But did you have time to think about a Geek of the Week for this week?
Well, I did, and I hope you'll.
Okay, well, it's too late. We're going on anyway to Mark. No, go ahead, Sean. Sorry.
I hope you'll forgive me for it's not a specific person, but let me just say this. Here's my Geek of the Week. So the second night I was in the hospital, the night shift nurse that was taking care of me was from, I can't remember. She's from Belleville. I want to say Belleville, right? And she's black. She's been a nurse about 10 years or so. And we got to talking a little bit, and she started telling me the floor we were on at St. Joseph Mercy Hospital it's actually in Superior Township, but kind of between Ann Arbor and Ypsilanti. The floor we were on was all mostly GI, a little bit of heart stuff. And I don't know, they're probably 30 rooms, 40 rooms, and that's her world for 12 hours, from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. in the morning. Every day or every night she's on that shift for the years that she's on this job, she walks into the room and she has no idea how people are going to treat her. The questions she get: where did you go to school? Did you go to school? Because the minute they see she's black, and she said 95 of the patients she treats are white, she gets too many people that assume she doesn't know what she's doing by the minute she walks in because of the way they look at her. So my Geek of the Week would be the folks out there that don't think this still happens. And you can say, okay, fine, she made it, she's a nurse, whatever. But the white nurse who took care of me during the day did not have to deal with that. She walked into the room and nobody's going to question her credentials. I'm sorry to get quite so serious in that, but this is it's just a little anecdote.
Well, now I'm never going to ask a nurse where they went to school. Unless they're white.
And the kind of questions, the insidious little line of questioning. It's not aggressive necessarily, but it's just kind of trying to maybe put you in your place, or maybe letting you feel you're not comfortable. She's also told me that even including last month, she gets some calls from patients who say they please don't let her come back into my room the next day. That never happens to the white folks, right? On that floor. So, and I know it's just one hospital and one little town, but my Geek of the Week would be those folks who still think that kind of thing doesn't go on.
My Geek of the Week, I'm afraid it might be on your list too, ML, because it's a story you wrote about in the Free Press, which is this newly named Judge Hathaway.
Oh, I cut my list down considerably. I think we lost a lot of time. Sean did bring it home. He brought
That's okay.
He brought it home strong, but for a while I was like, your Geek of the Week's going to be a black nurse. This is going to be tough. You turned that battleship right towards Okinawa and unleashed hell on the foe. So thank you.
Well, I learned from you. I bury the lead now.
Glad they didn't bury you.
But in Wayne County, there's a guy running for, I don't even know what position he's running for. Is it just Wayne County judge?
Wayne County Circuit Court judge.
And he's married to a Hathaway, correct?
He is.
But a month before he filed to run, he took on his wife's name and added Hathaway to his name because he knows that's a good name recognition, especially for judges in around this area. I mean, how many Hathaways are there?
So there are 3 Hathaways named Hathaway who have been elected to serve on the Wayne County bench. There's a 4th Hathaway, who's a very good judge, by the way, who was too old to run again. They have age limits on judges. And so he's been serving as a visiting judge. So that's a 4th Hathaway. And if you want to count the husband of retired Judge Amy Hathaway, Judge David Groner, who put, get the bell ready, Kwame Kilpatrick back in jail for violating the terms of his parole or probation. There's David Groner, who also is a very good judge. So
he's you wrote 2 stories on him that were just ridiculous. The lies and some of the other issues that he's had, but the name change alone is my nomination this week.
Wow, this is a heavy show, man.
That's not heavy. The guy,
that's good.
That's ridiculous.
It was some excellent journalism. I certainly.
I didn't say that.
Oh well.
Why is it so heavy? Did you spend the first half hour talking about murder?
Yeah,
Thanks for listening to the show.
Then addiction, and then some guy with a hole in his butt talked to us for a while about it. So
no, not there is the butt. The butt hopefully has a hole.
True. An additional hole.
Sorry, yeah.
That would be a problem if it didn't have a hole. Although, well, we won't go there.
Yeah, so I actually met a kid who was born without
here we go.
penis, but that's not a story we want to tell. So anyway, oh man. Yeah, this feels like it's going to be the longest show ever, but nobody's going to get to the end, so I'm just going to dive right in. So my first choice for Geek of the Week was going to be J.P. Morgan Chase, which agreed to pay $920 million for manipulating markets. Then it was going to be Facebook, because their policy is to take down false and misleading information unless it is included in a paid political advertisement. So they won't let us put our website, which only speaks truth, on Facebook, but they will allow you to lie as long as you're paying them for it. So bully for you, Facebook. But ultimately, my choice is the CDC, and I'll tell you why, because I think they do important work. I think it's an important federal agency, but they have now been so tainted by politics and by false starts and by saying things that they then took back. In fact, I was at a City of Detroit press conference, and we were talking about flu shots. And I went up to the microphone, and Mayor Duggan says, ML, you're getting a COVID-19 vaccination as soon as they come out, aren't you? And I said, I guess it depends who's giving them, because I don't know that I trust the protocols anymore, and I am not an anti-vaxxer. But anyway, they have been slow to acknowledge that COVID-19 is airborne. But then last week, they did say it was. But then they took it down from their website, and now they have put a milder version on their website, and this is basically what it says, according to a CDC scientist who spoke on the condition of anonymity because he's not authorized to speak. But when you hear what he says, you will wish he could only be the one to speak, because this is the plainest English you will ever get. COVID-19 is spread. It's not just big goobers, but everything that's exhaled, big and tiny. So CDC, for farting around, for getting caught up in politics, for not allowing this wise man to say something in the first place, you're my Geek of the Week.
The kids are soft.
I don't care for that guy.
Me neither. Too soft.
I'm going to pretend like you need to just make my dick go soft.
There's nothing being wrong with being soft, but it's hard to make money and to know what to do with your money. But there's a guy, you just hand it off to him. You let him do all the hard work. That's our friend and sponsor, Luke Nowacki, one of the few people who sponsors the entire Red Shovel Network. Some people like to save up for something really nice, like a nice earring that looks really cool. Those people are known as studs, and so are the earrings. Or maybe a time machine that could take you back to the 90s when dudes with earrings that weren't pro athletes were a thing. Some think they still are a thing. If you're wondering how you can budget for major purchase, call Luke Nowacki at 248-663-4748 or email at lnowacki@pinnaclewealthstrategies.com. We have a link to Luke's site on our website. He'll assist you to devise a plan target to help you reach your financial goals. And when you deal with Luke Nowacki, he'll make sure that it's all about you, sweetheart.
Securities and investment advisory services offered through Royal Alliance Associates Inc. Member FINRA SIPC. Royal Alliance Associates Inc. is separately owned, and other entities and or marketing names, products, or services referenced here are independent of Royal Alliance Associates Inc.
And when you call Luke, you let him know ML sent you. Joining us from the woods, I'm tempted to say the backwoods, but after the colon jokes, we're going to try and just skip right through that, is Professor Matthew Xavier Jennings. Sir, it's class is in order.
Yeah, and Sean made it. I'm happy with that, and I'm glad you're doing better, Sean.
Thanks, man. What are you looking around for? What are you worried about, man?
That guy on the couch
You know, the
behind him?
FBI was just on the show.
You got to worry about the ATF.
I'd worry about that guy sitting on the couch right behind you. He looks devious.
Oh, that's my brother Patrick.
Yeah, tell him to sit up straight. He's going to hurt his back.
Trust me, he hurt his back earlier. We've been camping for 2 nights.
Hot. All right, what do you got for us today?
All right, 1964, Japan's first high-speed train network named the Shinkansen, a.k.a. the Bullet Train, opened to coincide with the Tokyo Olympics. The bullet train traveled at a speed of 130 miles an hour, and the only flaw is the new technology, which was the subpar braking system, earning the gold medal for creating the most athletes for the 1976 Paralympic Games. You know, the bullet train travels at about 300 miles an hour, which is the same speed that the bad sushi that went through Sean while he was in Phoenix went.
Is this the same joke?
No, that's spontaneous comedy. I like that.
He's doing a routine, Sean. Don't interrupt him.
And
as far as the braking system goes,
yes,
the braking system was way better than 3 pairs of underwear. Hello.
On behalf of the butchery, let me just say, Matt's humor is not always in good taste, but his sausage is delicious.
That's true. It is. It's zesty. Okay.
Next.
Can we just edit my part out?
Never.
Britney Spears was ordered by a judge to release her children to her ex-husband, Kevin Federline, and give up custody. Wait. Oh, my God. I'm still hungover.
Like Kevin Federline.
Yeah. Britney Spears was ordered by a judge to release her children to her ex-husband, Kevin Federline, give up her joint custody privileges, and begin alcohol and drug testing, which is what I'll probably have to do. According to the court documents, the separation was quite emotional. As the court liaison led her children away, Spears got up, reached out towards them, and said, "Oops." God,
that was the worst.
I think what you mean to say is when she relapsed, she said, "Oops, I did it again."
Yeah, I cannot
finish strong.
Doing this bad. All right, in '92, Eric Clapton's $7 million earning Grammy Award-winning album "Unplugged" entered the Billboard charts, falling 49 stories to number 1.
That's a good one.
It was worth the wait.
There's an all-night party in room 7609. And you can dance together all night. You've got the time.
The late bar. Here we are. If you are looking to buy not just room 7609, but a whole house full of rooms, contact our friend David Hall at Hall Financial. They are working around the clock to help people save money by refinancing. It's a great time to look at your options. That's why many people are refinancing right now. If you haven't refinanced in the last year, Hall Financial is here to help. Now's the time to lower your monthly payments and keep some extra money in your pocket as we go through these turbulent times. And by refinancing, you can probably skip 2 payments. So why not see if you can save some money or cut your term? They have tons of 5-star ratings, way more than us. I think they're probably up to 1,800 or something like that.
Over 2,000.
Over 2,000. See what I mean?
I'm looking at their website right now.
That's up to over 21. Now up to 22. No, it's not going that fast. But I'm one of the guys who've given them a 5-star review because they've helped me make some very tricky deals happen. And I encourage you to call my man Dan Morrison at 248-308-5000. Hall Financial, lower payments, better options, more personal attention. There's a link from our website to their website. If you call them, let them know ML sent you, and MLS 1467435. And I do need to make a quick correction. Last week when we had Christopher George from the Smiths United on, I said that we would be playing a cover of How Soon Is Now by the Smiths this week, because this week we transitioned from new wave B-sides to new wave classics covered by new wave bands. In fact, we are not playing a cover of How Soon Is Now, even though there's so many tremendous ones out there. We are playing a cover of one of my favorite Smiths songs, Sweet and Tender Hooligan. This one is performed by Melanie Payne, or Mélanie Payne, as the French would say, and Nouvelle Vague.
Whoa.
So without
heavy.
further ado, as the French would say, here's Melanie Payne and Nouvelle Vague playing the Smiths' Sweet and Tender Hooligan.
He was a sweet and tender hooligan, and he said that he never do it again. And of course he won't. He was a sweet and tender hooligan, and he said that he never do it again. Poor old man, he had an accident with a 3-bar fire, but that's okay, 'cause he wasn't very happy anyway. Poor woman, strangling her very own bed as she read, but that's okay, 'cause she was old and she would have died anyway. Don't blame the sweet and tender hooligan, 'cause he said that he never do it again. Surely you've heard every word, so before you decide, would you look into those motherly eyes? I love you for you, my love. You, my love. Surely you've heard every word, so before you decide, would you look into those motherly eyes? I love you for you, my love, you, my love. He was a sweet and tender hooligan, and he said that he never do it again, etc., in the midst of life we are in death, etc., in the midst of life we are in death, etc., in the midst of life we are in death, etc.
Who is that lady? Who is that lady? Why do you always have a really hard exhale out of the songs?
That is Mélanie Payne with the accent aigu on the E. She is a living dream. She is an angel sent to Earth to perform music. She didn't set out to be a singer, but she had recorded some vocals on a demo for a friend that somehow ended up with Nouvelle Vague, which is French for new wave, but they're referring more to new wave cinema rather than the music. But and if anybody likes new wave cinema, then you'll also remember another angel, Brigitte Bardot, who ended up kind of crazy and cracked out at the end, but started out as just.
Let me ask you this question about that song, Smith's cover. Right? They're not terribly fond of people covering their songs, are they?
Oh, I don't know. I'm not sure.
I just assumed that because of Morrissey.
Well, I think there's a part of, so you have to remember Morrissey, who's kind of a pain in the balls, also lives in Clark Gable's former home in LA and drives a Jaguar. So I think when the residuals come in, he finds a way to deal with it. But Mélanie Payne is just, God, if you watch this video, go find it on YouTube. She's just a beautiful, simple, young French woman with a amazing smock and black tights on, which is, I can't tell in the video if she's wearing Doc Martens, but if she is, she's pretty much the perfect woman, but
that's cool. Different.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
They're kind of a folky version, but it's great. And if you listen to this song, the lyrics are great. It's basically about, let's go easy on this guy because he killed an old man, but the old man was going to die anyways. And then he strangled an old woman in the bed as she read, which is just great wordplay, but she was sad and she was going to die anyway. And so,
but meat is murder. So
yeah, but when you listen to, Morrissey doesn't condone the murder of old men or old women either. So he's consistent.
He seems to take a harsher tone than he would on that person in the song.
He's favoring incarceration for this individual. But when you listen to the live version by the Smiths, in between each one, when he says, "But he won't do it again," he goes, "Ah!" As if you're like, "Yeah, right." But anyway, so this month on in Room 7609, we are inviting you to send us your favorite new wave songs covered by a non-new wave band. We've already received a ton of great suggestions. So if the suggestions are good enough, we will extend this beyond October. Send those suggestions to us at mlsoulofdetroit@gmail.com or give us a call. Leave a message for us on our voicemail. The number is Butterfield 89070. That's 313-288-907. Wait for it. Zero. Yeah. Or oh.
You got that, Sean?
Yeah, that sounds nice.
Did that aid your convalescence?
Sure. Yeah, it was soothing.
Did that heal your soul and your whole?
Will you heal my soul?
Yeah, let's leave it there.
Yeah, no, further step.
If you say something else, it'll be edited out, so don't bother. We'll just cut it right off there. So that's Room 7609. Oh, man, I'm going to listen to that 5 more times today. So we appreciate you making it this far in the show. Some people would say that's a medical miracle. We've seen a lot of those miracles this week. We're glad Sean is able to join us, and we look forward to him rejoining us in studio. I know his family can't wait to get him out of the house for a couple hours. But Sean, we wish you Godspeed in your recovery, and we think that you'll be back to normal before the Lions. I feel safe saying that.
Before the line, you mean after the bye week, or just overall in the terms of the universe?
Actually, I need to take that back. The Lions are back to normal. They suck. We think you'll be back to your winning ways before the Lions right the ship. You will heal and recover before the Lions.
Sean,
I appreciate that, Dr. Howard. What's that, Mark?
When will they be fired, Patricia and Quinn?
I got my degree in bootyology, Sean, but it still makes me a doctor.
Well, assuming the season plays out the way it has so far, probably the end of the season, the Lions just aren't. I mean, it would take something pretty radical for the Fords to get rid of them.
You don't think to the next, if they lose Jacksonville and Atlanta, those two terrible teams, they
maybe, but here's the thing: if there were fans right now and that was at stake, and they were looking at empty stadiums when fans were allowed to come, then that might be a different kind of pressure.
That's interesting. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, but I mean, I was just thinking about that the other day. The concession money, the ticket sales. I know a lot of those are ahead of time. That's not on the table right now. So, what else? What else do they have to lose? Right?
Is it too soon for me to bring back my Caldwell campaign? Bring back Caldwell. I mean, this team. I don't know if you saw the comments Dan Orlovsky made, but he said this team was doing great, and they blew Caldwell out. And they said it was a mess. It was not a mess. This team is a mess. And I can't help but wonder whether Jim Caldwell is the victim of some of the same thoughts that afflict your nurse. This guy, was the best Lions coach we've had in a while, and he's made some stupid calls on the sidelines, but he's still way ahead of the pack.
Yep.
Where is Jim Caldwell now?
Miami, I believe.
Oh.
Isn't he? Yeah, I mean, I've heard that from readers for the last couple of years. I remember when Caldwell was fired, I got emails from readers in Detroit. That's come up again the last few weeks. I've had a few conversations with folks about that who wonder the same thing. I mean, it's one of those things that's hard to lay out and say, okay, here's the analytically, but it's kind of in the gut a little bit. And I mean, certainly when you look at the records, for sure, right? I mean, Patricia. I hate to say this in some ways, but he's looked in over his head at various times from the start.
Yep. Amen. Wow.
Oh, man. Well, anyways, we appreciate you keeping an eye on things even when you're on your back. This show does not support itself. We rely on our sponsors, and we appreciate it when you support our sponsors. You know, we do business with them because we think they're trustworthy and because we think that they'll treat you right. If that ever turns out to be wrong, you let us know right away. You know how to get a hold of us. But when you do contact them, please let them know that ML Soul of Detroit sent you or that you heard about them from ML Soul of Detroit. If you want to get in the game yourself and just cut right through all the red tape and just give us money, Mark, tell them these good people, how to be so foolish and generous at the same time.
MLSoulofDetroit.com. Hit that donate button. Hit it often. That's
right. Hit it hard. And this week we need to thank Raymond for a very, very generous donation. So thank you so much for that. And we're gonna give one more try to jumpstart our Cami Soul program, which is where you send us at least $20, give us a message that you would like us to read for a loved one, a friend, maybe even someone you hate bitterly. This is a sample. This is something I did for a friend of mine for his 50th birthday.
Oh,
but this is very,
it's going to be nice.
This is what you could get by participating in Cami Hey, Adam, Soul. It's your old pal, ML Elric, winner of the Pulitzer Prize and host of the ML Soul of Detroit podcast. Big fan of the whole family. I hear you're turning 50, so I got you a card. Let me read it to you. A sweetie pie, a honey child from head to tiny feet. Congratulations on the one who's made your world complete. So actually, it's not a birthday card I got at the dollar store. But if you have a baby, it'll come in handy. Anyway, welcome to the 50 and over club. It's kind of cool. You don't have to worry about menopause. But actually, I guess that's pretty much the only cool thing. It's all downhill from here.
Glasses come off.
It's very dramatic. The more I think about it, it's pretty depressing, dude. Maybe it'll be different for you. Anyways, happy birthday, bro.
Oh, how professional.
So uplifting messages like that you can make possible by Cami Soul. And I'll tell you right now, these sons of bitches don't step up this week. We're gonna be done with that. So that's that. There's other ways you can support the show. Mark knows exactly what I'm talking about, and we'll prove that momentarily.
DrewandMikeStore.com.
Bang!
There you go. Yeah, get your keychains, masks, gaiters, all the fun stuff there.
We're talking about a winter cap. We have our R&D department looking at that right now. There's rumor of a hoodie, but there's some high level negotiations going on. We have to get that worked out. In the meantime, we love it when you listen to the show. That's really all you have to do. If you just listen to the show, that's quite frankly enough for us. You can subscribe to the show. That's the best way to do it because a new episode pops up, bing, right away. You can share the show. We really appreciate when you spread the gospel of the Soul of Detroit. Rate the show. We love getting your ratings, even the 1-star ratings. We will share them all because we hide from no man, even though there's a few women who scare us, mostly our wives. And if you love the show, that's all anybody can ask. You want to comment? Post something on Facebook. The page to look for stuff on the show is ML Elric. No periods, ML Elric. That's also where you can see our Facebook Live broadcast. You can post to Twitter. The account there is Elric, ELRICK. You can write to mlsoulofdetroit@gmail.com or leave a voicemail at Butterfield89070, a.k.a. for the squares, 313-288-9070. And we know what Sean's doing. You've heard about my coverage of the Wayne County judge who changed his name just before he put himself on the ballot. Pretty interesting story the other day about how a former boss called him a liar and a lazy bones. If you want to see that, go to freep.com. You'll have to subscribe, but it's 99 cents a month for each of the next 3 months. So I think that's well worth it. And it'll keep Sean and I from working the streets, and he's not earning like he used to since he's been in the hospital. We also appreciate if you would support our other Red Shovel Network shows. That's Charlie LaDuff's No BS News Hour, No Filter Sports with Eli, Denny, and Bob, and of course, the Drew and Mike podcast. Cyrus, take us out.
Can you dig that?
Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
And on that day, a dark warrior rose to the
the soul of Detroit.
Maybe they're friendly.
Au revoir.
I really reached my breaking point after I made that jump to heroin, and I just knew if I didn't make a change, I would ultimately lose my life. I was passing by a police department, and I just made the split-second decision to walk in. The police officer greeted me, Hope Not handcuffs arrived, and saved my life.
The first step doesn't need to be the hardest. Let us help guide you to recovery. Go to HopeNotHandcuffs.com to learn more.